Alright, so we learned that our main character, Amagasaki Atsumu, has 7 sisters, and all of them are top-tier entertainers in Japan. Meanwhile, his role is to support them behind the scenes, or at least that's what he thought. We then see that Atsumu had just gotten 18 years old, and his mother told him that they would host a celebration party. But as he gets home, he sees a cake being decorated with a skeleton. Then his mom says his name before telling him that it's time to celebrate, and that from this day on, he is no longer part of their family. Atsumu is in shock, but their mom asks if he didn't hear her. He says that he did, but that it's just so sudden, and that he doesn't understand what she means with no longer part of the family, asking if this is some kind of sick joke, and if there's a surprise waiting for him. We then get introduced to Mutsuki, who is the 5th daughter and an idol. She says that there is no surprise, and calls Atsumu a piece of trash, and saying that having such a failure be her twin brother makes her sick. We then get to the 3rd daughter Mika, who is a model, and she says that she agrees with Mutsuki, and that it's hard to believe that they really are brothers and sisters. After that, Yakiru, the 7th daughter, who is a YouTuber, says that even if this were a prank, nobody would watch. Futaba, the 2nd daughter, who is multi-talented, says that she fully agrees with Yakiru and that she thought the same thing. Then the 1st daughter, Io, who is an actress, calls it foolish and says that only the elite belong to the Amagasaki name and that half-breeds like Atsumu has no place in this house. The 4th daughter, Shiki, who is a voice actress, tells them that there's no need to be so harsh and that if that were her, then she would die out of embarrassment. We then see the 6th daughter, who is Nana and is a singer, but she is just quiet. Lastly, we get to their mom, who is called Amana, and she is a CEO, and she tells Atsumu that he sure knows how to get on people's nerves, and that she will tell him one more time that they are serious about this, concluding that men are nothing but filthy pigs, and that they should not exist within the Amagasaki family. Atsumu is in shock, and he is amazed that none of his sisters are going to deny this. Looking super sad as he thinks if they are really going to cast him out of this family, Atsumu then speaks up and says that he knows that all of them hate him, but he asks if they would please reconsider this. He says that he may be worthless, but that he's done his best to support all of them until now, and that they are the only family he has left, so he begs them to please reconsider, as he doesn't want to lose this bond. But his sister just begins to laugh and tells him that there's no point in begging, as the truth is that they never once thought of him as a member of their family. Atsumu can't believe it, and says that they have lived together for so long, and that this can't be possible. Their mother then speaks up and asks how long he is going to keep on saying that, and that they only kept him with them to fulfill one condition, and she explains that grandmother's will stated that to use her inheritance as funds for her CEO agency, she had to take Atsumu into their home and look after him until the day he turned 18, telling Atsumu that it's all there is to it, telling him that the family bond between them, it was all for money, and that there was never any love in it. She then just keeps going as she tells Atsumu that he is nothing but a failure who couldn't meet expectations, calling him a slow, useless, and stupid child, asking Atsumu if he has any idea just how much they have been through because of him, before telling him that all of this is finally coming to an end today, the day written in the contract and his 18th birthday, telling him that it's time to celebrate. But as he looks at them, he can only see skeletons, and they tell him that today is a celebration for finally getting rid of him. We then get into his mind, as he thought that if he worked hard to support them one day, they would have accepted him, and he really thought that they were a family. Atsumu then begins to cry a little before their mother tells him that it's enough now, and tells him to leave his phone and all his work tools before he gets out, as they can't risk any leaks. He says that he understands before he tells himself to hold back his tears the best that he can, as this will be his last support, and he then puts his phone down on the table while shaking, and he then forces himself to smile one last time before he thinks to himself that he thanks them for everything. After that, we see him being outside the mansion, and he starts to really cry as he says goodbye and he starts to leave. However, at the time, he never imagined that this chance encounter that followed would change his life, as this is the story of how he, a lost boy who lost both his family and home, only good at supporting others, came to enjoy an ordinary youth. Alright, so we get to the next day where we see Atsumu in the school chairman's office. The chairman asks if the story is true, and Atsumu says that it is, and that he would like to drop out as of today. But suddenly someone speaks up and says that she can't accept it, asking why Atsumu should be the one who have to be expelled, and we learn that it was Ashiya Asuka who is also an idol. Atsumu just smiles awkwardly and thanks her for getting angry for him. And we then learn that Atsumu has had the chance to meet Asuka a few times through work, explaining that she is part of the top idol group, Asterisk, reigning supreme in the idol world, and more than that, she's the group leader, explaining that a single smile from this peerless beauty captivates anyone who sees it, and that Asuka is without a doubt the #1 idol in Japan. She then says that even if Atsumu is okay with this, she can't stand it. Atsumu thinks that she is too kind and that it's a top idol for you. The chairman, or rather chairwoman, tells her to calm down. Asuka tries to argue and calls the chairman her mom, but she tells Asuka that Atsumu has already made up his mind, and the chairman, who we learn is called Sakuya, asks if she can ask something, and Atsumu says that of course she can. Sakuya says that from what she has heard, it doesn't seem like he needs to quit, and asks if there is another reason, and that if he doesn't mind, then she would like to hear it. He clenches his fist and says that there is no reason. Asuka then gets angry and asks if he is messing with her, but Atsumu says that it isn't that, but that he just feels guilty, saying that Yumekoshi Academy is an integrated school from elementary to high school with many celebrities enrolled. It's also a school that nurtures talent to support the entertainment industry with a wide choice of dedicated programs, explaining that everyone here is serious about their dreams, but he is leaving the entertainment industry, so if he kept attending like nothing happened, then he feels like he would be disrespectful. Asuka just says his name before Atsumu says that he was already so busy that he barely came to school, so that it's already like he has dropped out. Asuka then asks just how many people were in charge, but Atsumu looks confused. But Asuka tells him to stop playing dumb and says that it must take a crazy team to support 7 top-level celebrities, telling him that it's impossible for only one person to handle all that, and that if he had a team taking shifts, then he could have attended school properly. And they then once again ask Atsumu just how big his team is. But Atsumu looks a bit hesitant before he says that it was just him. Asuka then gets close and asks Atsumu if he is kidding, and says that there's no way that he could do that. Atsumu says that it just kept piling up since before they were famous, and that he got used to it. Atsumu then snaps back to reality and asks why Asuka is even here in the first place, telling her that just because she is the chairman's daughter, she doesn't have to be involved. Asuka gets flustered and doesn't know what to say, but her mom cuts in and tells Atsumu that Asuka had told the security guard to notify her if Atsumu ever showed up at school. Asuka looks really embarrassed as she asks what her mom is saying, and she then goes to her and looks super angry. Atsumu just looks at her and calls her cute, which completely blows her mind, and she starts to blush before she locks back in and stares angrily at Atsumu, and Atsumu just apologizes for saying that. Asuka tells him that she isn't mad, but asks for Atsumu just to stop calling her cute, and Atsumu says that he will stop then if she says so. However, this backfires as Asuka says if he is really going to stop saying it, and she looks like she's about to cry, and Atsumu just asks her what she wants from him, and he then just thinks in his own mind that she is so cute. After that, Sakuya interrupts and says that she has one last thing to ask him, telling him that from now on, he will live by his own choices. So she was just wondering, after leaving this school, is there anything that he would want to do? Asuka starts to blush, and Atsumu thinks for a bit before he says that he has always been too busy supporting his sisters, so that he has never had the chance to live like other kids his age. So from now on, he wants to go to a normal school, study, make friends, and maybe even get a girlfriend, saying that he just wants to enjoy an ordinary youth. And he looks super hopeful and happy as he says that. Sakuya then laughs and says that if that's the case, then she knows just the perfect school for him. We then get to a few hours later, after leaving Yumekoshi Academy, and we see Atsumu, who has arrived in an unfamiliar town, and he looks out and thinks that this is where he will live from now on. He thinks back to the chairman of his former school and says that she was incredibly kind and that she arranged a transfer for him and even set up a form. We then get back and see that Sakuya said that doing this for Atsumu might help Asuka as well, and we see Asuka's brain overloading, while Atsumu just thinks that she said some strange things, but that he guesses that she is just really caring towards students, and that she even offered to cover his rent and expenses for now. Atsumu thinks that he thought that he would be left with nothing, but he got lucky before saying that he will work part-time and pay her back while he is still a student. Atsumu starts to smile and thinks that a lot has happened since yesterday, but that now it's finally starting, the normal school life that he has always dreamed of. He looks super ecstatic, but as he is going around, he overhears some guy talking to a girl. The guy tells her to stop ignoring them and that they are just asking her out for tea. Atsumu looks shocked as he sees this, as he wonders if it could be that this town isn't safe, wondering if he could get caught up in some delinquent brawl and that because of him being short, he would get crushed in seconds. However, he then snaps back and sees the girl being afraid and thinks that this isn't the time to think about that, and saying that there's a girl in trouble and that he has to help her, so he rushes towards her to try and help her out.